Which Week 7 NFL games are must bets? Welcome, football fans, gridiron gamblers, and degenerates. It's Mitch here with the 5 spreads you should bet in Week 7. If that sounds good, don't forget to spike the like button. Show your love. It's free. And don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel for all of my NFL best bets each and every week. Get in that comment section and let me know what you think of my picks. I love to hear from you guys and hear your opinion, whether you agree or disagree. I want to hear why you agree or disagree on my picks. And of course, let me know what you're betting in Week 7. Let's kick it off, guys, with the bias pick of the week. Yes, every week I'm telling you to bet on the same team. Every week we're winning money. But every week people say, Mitch, I can't bet this because you're just biased. But am I biased if we keep winning? I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know. You guys can, I guess, make that declaration for yourself. You can decide. I have the New England Patriots. Again, I'm just going to keep betting the Patriots until people figure it out. I'm just going to keep betting the Patriots until people figure it out. And honestly, if I would just be betting the Patriots this year, we would be up a lot of money. I think we're 4-1 now betting Patriots games. The only game we didn't bet was Week 1, and the only game we lost is a game in which they turned it over 5 times. So I'm feeling pretty good about the New England Patriots right now, and now they take on the worst team in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. The New England Patriots, I think, are going to be a very public side this week, so I will caution you just a little bit, but I think it's warranted. The Tennessee Titans are very bad. In fact, they have only won 1 game this year. It was a complete fluke against the Arizona Cardinals. You guys know what happened, right? Interception, fumbled for a touchdown, and then DeMarcado runs for 6, fumbles the ball in the end zone, and the Cardinals should have won by multiple touchdowns that game, actually. But in all of their losses, they have lost by 7 or more points in every single one of those games, including last week to the Las Vegas Raiders, who are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Funny because the Raiders actually beat the Patriots, but Week 1 doesn't matter. We all know that, okay? But there are some injury issues with the Titans. There are schematical issues with the Titans. Of course, people might want to bet the Titans this week, or sharps might want to bet the Titans because they got the head coach boost, right? They fired their coach. That's what everybody's going to say. Their coach is Mike McCoy now. Mike McCoy. You remember him? Yeah, that guy. Also, I don't think it matters. This team is such a mess, and this team doesn't have a lot of talent to begin with. So, first of all, Calvin Ridley did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. Draymond Jones and Arden Key, a part of their pass rush, both edge rushers, did not practice on Wednesday or Thursday. Without Calvin Ridley, this team has little to zero threat in the passing game. That's just going to allow the Patriots to completely pack the box and take away Tony Pollard, which is their only semblance of offense. Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, right? The run game of the Titans. It's the only ability that they have to move the ball, and the odd Cam Ward bomb down the field. That's all they really have. And the Patriots defense, of course, has been much better in the secondary due to Christian Gonzalez returning to the lineup. Marcus Jones is playing like a Pro Bowl nickel corner as well. And I've talked at length about the Patriots' run defense every single week we talk about it. It's one of the best in the NFL. It's top 10 in success rate. It's top 5 in rush EPA. So the Patriots, no matter what run defense statistic you look at, they are elite in that category, meaning that if the Titans can't run the ball, they're putting rookie Cam Ward back there on 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and having to deal with interior pressure from Milton Williams and Christian Barmore, who are both top 10 in pressures at the defensive tackle position, and they're having to throw the ball potentially without Calvin Ridley against one of the best cornerback groups in the NFL. It's going to be a tough day for the Titans to score points and consistently move the ball. They have been literally the worst offense in the NFL. And in terms of EPA per play, Cam Ward is 33rd among quarterbacks. He's below Jake Browning. Now, that is not individually a Cam Ward statistic. That more speaks to what the offense is, specifically throwing the ball, right? That's dead last in the NFL. And I don't think a coaching bump or a coaching change is going to change that in this game in a week, okay? So they're last in yards per drive. They're last in points per drive, the Tennessee Titans. They don't move the ball. They don't score points. And on the other side, they're playing one of the MVPs of the NFL right now, Drake May, who's playing like an elite quarterback. And despite that, people are still questioning his ability. People are still questioning whether or not Drake May is really, really damn good. Well, I'm here to tell you guys, as I've been telling you for the last few weeks, Drake May is special. Drake May is a dude. Drake May is the guy. He's elevating this Patriots offense to one of the best passing offenses in the NFL. The Patriots are 3rd in EPA per play passing the ball, and they are 7th in success rate. They're taking on a pass defense for the Titans, who are 25th in EPA and 19th in success rate because they have 0 pass rush outside of Jeffrey Simmons. And if anyone knows this Titans personnel, it's probably Mike Vrabel, their former head coach who was fired a couple seasons ago, who will be coming into this game with an absolute fiery energy and motivation for his players. This is definitely not a sleeper spot for the Patriots. It's definitely not one of those games where they might slip up and not play their best, their most refined game, because Mike Vrabel is a coach that players want to run through a brick wall for. And in this game specifically, it's a game that Mike Vrabel wants to win. He wants to have a statement victory against his former team who fired him for absolute nonsense. This Patriots team is going to be fired up on both sides of the football. And Drake May, like I'm saying, is just playing absolutely ludicrous ball. He's the best deep ball passer in football. He is actually leading the NFL among all quarterbacks in EPA per play when you combine rushing and passing. He's been that good. And the fact that, you know, the Patriots are only laying 7 here against the worst team in the league who can't cover any game, it feels like, other than the one that they won. I mean, yeah, this still feels like, to some people, too many points for the Patriots. The Patriots, you're going to be buying them high in the market, right? But I'm telling you, this team is really good. This quarterback is awesome. This coaching staff is good. They are a good team. Continue to bet the Patriots until people figure it out, okay? Until people figure it out, bet the Patriots. So lay the 6.5, lay the 7, bet the Patriots, put them in the teaser, put them in the money line parlay. The Patriots will win this game. The Patriots, I do think, will cover this game. Of course, it's a bigger number than we're typically used to with this Patriots team, but it's the worst opponent they've played, and they're just continuing to build steam, and they're continuing to find, I think, a chemistry within this offense. This offense is looking great. So continue to bet this Patriots team. I'm taking them -7 at Tennessee. Mike Vrabel, revenge. The second game is the Carolina Panthers. -1 at the Jets. I almost didn't include this game because there's a lot of people that will be on the Jets this week simply because they believe this is a spot where Carolina's on the road and Carolina has not won a game on the road and Carolina has not performed on the road and the Jets have to win a game. So people think the Jets are going to win this game. But from a football perspective, I don't see how they win this game. I feel like Carolina is actually underrated statistically and analytically right now. They're actually a decent football team sitting at 3-3. They have back-to-back wins at home over Dallas and Miami. And ever since the Patriots shellacked them, Carolina has kind of turned it around. And we're looking at some key matchups in this game that really favor the Carolina Panthers, specifically at the line of scrimmage in what I would expect to be a lower scoring game. I think the Panthers have a decisive advantage in the run game and a decisive advantage at the line of scrimmage. And I also think they have the better quarterback and the better coaching staff. Aaron Glenn is an absolute jabroni. He is a joke. And I want to continue to fade him into oblivion. He has no idea what he is doing. Now let's break down the areas where I feel like Carolina can be successful. The Panthers are second in rush success rate offensively in the NFL. They're second in rush EPA. The Jets defensively are 19th in EPA allowed to the ground game and 18th in yards per attempt. So they're a below average run defense. not a bad one, but a below average one, facing an elite rushing offense. The last 2 weeks, the Panthers' Rico Dowdle has rushed for 180 and 200 yards against Dallas and Miami. Now, Dallas and Miami are terrible run defenses, but Carolina should still be able to run the ball effectively against a Jets team that allowed yards against the Bills, allowed yards against the Bucs, allowed yards against a bunch of rushing offenses. The only ones they basically stopped were the Broncos, who are not a very good running team, and then maybe one other team, the Steelers, I believe, in week 1. And the Steelers couldn't figure out their run game for a few weeks there, and they were pretty bad running the ball early in the season. So only against really bad running teams have the Jets really handled the run game. Against above average or better rushing offenses, they've had problems with that. On the flip side, the Jets are all running game on offense because now they don't have Garrett Wilson, their only receiver that is worth a damn. Every other receiver on this team is an absolute bum. Josh Reynolds, scrap heap wide receiver, right? Alan Lazard, the same thing. Mason Taylor, a rookie tight end. Are you kidding me? The Jets had they were sacked 9 times by Denver. They had 45 passing yards against the Broncos. Now they don't have Garrett Wilson. And Carolina's defense is actually sneaky good, especially against the run. First in rush success rate this season. First. Number 1. And they also just held Javonte Williams to a very, very below average game for his standards this season. Javonte Williams and the Cowboys have been running the ball on everyone. They hit a brick wall against the Panthers last week. So if Javonte Williams can't run the ball, I don't expect the Jets to be able to run the ball. And the Panthers defense overall right now is sneaky good. They're 3rd overall in success rate. Passing, they're 14th or something, and rushing, they're 1st. So they're 3rd overall. This defense and this offense, they're a lot better than you would expect. There's also one niche matchup in this game that I think the Panthers can take advantage of. They've been utilizing a lot more 2 tight end formations. They are the 5th best at utilizing 12 personnel, and they use it at the 11th highest rate, while the Jets are the 20th defense defending 2 tight end formations. And overall, I would just say from a collective, the Jets defense is about the 20th best in the league. Their passing offense is probably the worst in the league. And the Jets, yes, they might have time for Justin Fields here because the Panthers pass rush is very bad. But the corners and the secondary of the Panthers can just swallow and suffocate these receivers. And I don't think there will be much separation at all for Fields. And Fields is one of these quarterbacks that unless a guy is wide open, he doesn't throw the ball. He decides to run or he decides to hold the ball. He's staring at wide open guys and still doesn't throw it because he doesn't really trust his arm. He doesn't trust his accuracy. So I really like the Panthers here because I think they'll win the running game battle, and all they have to really do is win, and I think they need a road win, and I am trusting Dave Canales and this staff, and I don't love what I see from the Jets, and I don't love what I see from Justin Fields. I mean, just keep fading the Jets until they give us a reason not to. This team, people are like, oh yeah, they only lost by 2 to the Broncos. First of all, they're coming from London. So they have to travel from London back home. So that's first of all, right? So that's the Carolina doesn't have to do that. So that's a travel element to this game as well. And then on top of that, they lost by 2, but really they probably should have lost by 20. I mean, you look at that game statistically, you look at how they scored their points. They got a safety. They got 2 field goals gifted to them by a kick return and a fumble in the Broncos' own end of the field. That's how they scored 9 points in the game, or 8 points in the game. That's how they scored their points. They should have scored 0. So, yeah, the Panthers aren't the Broncos defense, but they've got an excellent run defense, which is basically all the Jets can do without Garrett Wilson. So, give me Carolina -1. I think they're a little bit better than people think, and I think the Jets are really just that bad. Next up, we're going with the New Orleans Saints +5 against Chicago, and I think the Saints can win this game. So throwing them in an underdog, money line parlay, or just playing the money line outright, I think isn't a bad play here, but I do think the Saints can hang in this game, so +5 will be the bet. The Saints, actually, from an analytical perspective, have the better offense and defense by success rate right now. I said that right. You heard that right. The Saints, in success rate, just the ability to purely move the football up and down the field or defend the football are better on offense and defense, and they're getting 5 points. You could also make an argument that they might have the better quarterback. Spencer Rattler has played pretty well lately. And when you look at the Saints' schedule, they have played a really tough slate. They played the Patriots, the Bills, the Niners, the Cardinals, all teams that they hung in there with. The Bills, they lost by 12 on the road in Buffalo. It was closer than that, though. They lost by 6 to New England. They lost by 5 to San Francisco. And they lost by 7 to Arizona. And San Francisco was healthier then. So, and they beat the Giants. You know, the team that was the worst team they've played, they beat that team. So they've actually played a pretty tough schedule from my perspective. The Bears, a key matchup in this game, I think is again, the running game. Especially with both quarterbacks here, Rattler and Caleb being fairly pedestrian quarterbacks. The run game is very crucial to their success offensively. The Bears are 31st defensively in rush yards allowed per attempt. The Saints are 7th in that category, and the Saints have a top 3 run defense in EPA allowed. So the Saints are actually very good against the run this year. They don't have a great pass rush, and they can be had in the secondary, but they're not terrible in that regard. In fact, the Saints are actually very good at defending explosive passing plays, and this is big against the Bears. The Saints are 8th best, top 10 against explosive passes, or explosives in general. And the Bears are 5th best at creating explosive plays. The Bears are all explosive plays because Caleb Williams is not a pocket deciphering, pick you apart by 1,000 paper cut quarterback. He's not accurate enough. He's not decisive enough. He's not smart enough. He doesn't see the field or make his reads quick enough. He's a guy that needs the play action element, the crossers down the field. He'll scramble, he'll run, or he'll buy time, and they'll create chunk plays via Ben Johnson's scheme or their receivers. If the Saints can keep a top on the offense and force Caleb to pick them apart underneath and be very decisive and accurate against zone coverage, and they can defend the run, the Saints are going to have a chance to win this game. If they can make Caleb get antsy, and because that's what he does, right? Like, if he might pass up the 5-yard completion to try to buy time to try to hit that 12 or 15 or 20-yard completion, and it might not be there against this style of defense where Brandon Staley likes to play 2 safeties deep. So I'm counting on the Saints' ability to run the ball better in this game and stop the run better in this game. We also look at the Saints' ability to run a lot of plays. The Bears defense has allowed the 2nd most plays to be ran on them, while the Saints do run the 7th most plays on offense. So they just typically have the ball more than you would expect a bad team to have the ball. They run a lot more plays. Kellen Moore has impressed me with his ability to balance this offense, get a run game out of Miller and Kamara. They have dangerous weapons in Olave and Shaheed, are only being enticed, only being pushed to play better because they might get traded to a real contender. So you could see them play pretty well here. And the Bears, without Jalen Johnson in that secondary, they just haven't been the same in coverage. And they haven't really been great on defense in general all season. They've been pretty poor on defense in general all season. And for what it's worth, the Bears have lost 8 games in a row against the Saints. 8 games in a row as a franchise. They have lost 8 games in a row. So I think the Saints are a sleeper. I think the Saints are getting better. I think the Saints can stop the run, force Caleb to be antsy. And I think on the other side, they're going to be able to run the ball, have balance. Spencer Rattler against the Patriots and others has shown a capacity to be smart with the football, complete a lot of passes, move the ball soundly down the field without having explosive plays. He's been a pretty good scrambler. And against a bad defense that I expect the Saints to be able to run the ball on, I think that's going to put Rattler in a lot of good situations to have success. I think these Saints weapons are being slept on. I like the Saints to keep this one close. Give me New Orleans +5. Next, The Kansas City Chiefs laying a big number of 11.5 or 12. Doesn't really matter to me. I will take Kansas City. This is a complete and utter mismatch, and I want to catch the Chiefs at a good time as a big favorite before people truly believe they can cover a big number, because I think what we've seen in recent weeks from the Chiefs is that their explosiveness and their offense and their rhythm offensively, which hasn't been there in about 3 years, is back. And they're playing the worst opponent they've played in a few weeks. And you look at what they've done. They scored 37 against Baltimore and blew them out. They scored 28 against a good Jags defense, and they probably should have scored 35 to 38 points. They threw a pick six at the 1 yard line. They scored 30 against the Lions defense, although an injured Lions defense, still a pretty good Lions defense, and they beat them by 2 scores, 30 to 17, which would have covered this spread against the Raiders, not the Lions. This is also at Arrowhead, not in Vegas, which is a tough place to play, obviously, very loud. And when you're talking about that noise, it has an impact on the offensive line of the Raiders, which is putrid. They don't have Colton Miller. He's out for the season. They can't block a soul. So Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, they're going to be all over Geno Smith. And then Steve Spagnuolo is going to have some stunts, some blitzes, some creative stuff to get after Geno and really cause frustration, sacks, problems, force fumbles. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs had a pick six or a strip sack for a touchdown or something to that degree in this game. It wouldn't be all that surprising. No Brock Bowers for the Raiders offense. No Jacoby Myers, who might get traded for the Raiders offense. That means it's basically 2 rookies and Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker might be taken away by Trent McDuffie in this game. So see you later. Jack Besh and Dante Thornton are going to be their go-to guys, and Michael Mayer. There's just very little for Geno to rely on the outside, very little in terms of guys getting open quickly, and the offensive line is putrid, and the run game isn't much better. The Chiefs are weaker against the run this season. I thought they did an admirable job against the Lions, but the Spags and the Chiefs are going to know that the Raiders' only ability to win this game is by running the ball, especially on early downs. They're going to stuff the box, take the run game away early. That's going to put Geno in terrible positions to throw the football on down and distance of 2nd and 12 and 3rd and 8 and things like that. And it's just not going to be good. And there's going to be way too much pressure. So I think the Raiders are really going to struggle to move the ball. And I think on the other side, the Raiders defensively, they're not bad. They're a mediocre defense. They're pretty good against the run, but the thing is, that doesn't matter against the Chiefs because they don't run the ball anyways. They pass the ball at the highest rate on neutral downs. They also are very good at quick throws, and the Raiders love to play their cover 3 Seattle scheme. Nobody's better at deciphering that and picking that apart than Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and I just feel like with Rashee Rice back, they have that incentive at home to run the score up against their rival, put up a ton of touchdowns, a ton of points. We could really see this offense against a weak secondary, pick them apart all day, go up and down the field, put up 30 to 35 points, 38 points, and just run away with this game. I'm believing in the Chiefs offense. I'm not a full believer in their defense, but I think this is a great matchup for their defense. And then if you need any more incentive to bet the Chiefs here, the Raiders were blown out on the road twice already. The Colts blew them out. The Commanders blew them out. At home, the Raiders have been more respectable. Against the Chargers, they did lose by 11, but it was fairly competitive. They lost by 1 to the Bears, right? And then they beat their last opponent, the Titans, who are terrible. But the Raiders have been getting blown out by competent offenses and competent teams. And I think Kansas City is looking the best they've looked all year, and offensively, they're just starting to get it going, and we know Rashee Rice is going to be a big factor here. So I love the Chiefs to win by 13, 14 plus points. Something like 31-17 feels about right to me. So give me the Chiefs to win this game and to cover this game. Next, I like Tampa Bay on Sunday Night Football plus 5.5. I think some people are going to look at the Lions here, but I just think this is too big of a number for the MVP of the NFL, Baker Mayfield, and what is going to be a healthier Bucs team than we saw last week. Mike Evans should be back for this game to take the spot of Emeka Egbuka as Baker's former and still favorite target. And I actually think that Tampa's receiving core, its depth is highly, highly underrated. Yes, Chris Godwin's out, Emeka Ibuka's out, but they still got, like, Tez Johnson can fly. Tez Johnson can make plays. Sterling Shepard is reliable. Cade Otton is good. Rachaad White can catch it out of the backfield. Sean Tucker's explosive. They still have enough weapons to move the ball against a Detroit defense that is decimated in the secondary. Terrion Arnold didn't practice on Thursday. Kirby Joseph, their all-star free safety, did not practice on Thursday. Avonte Maddox, their backup nickel, who is replacing Brian Branch and also replacing, I think, Amik Robertson, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not even sure at this point. There's so many injuries. So DJ Reed is out long-term. That's their number one corner. Terrion Arnold is injured, did not practice, not sure if he's going to play. He's their number two corner. Brian Branch is their strong safety / hybrid defensive back. He's suspended for the game because of what happened against Kansas City. Kirby Joseph hurt his knee against the Chiefs. He hasn't practiced. Avonte Maddox is their backup nickel corner. He's hurt. Okay, so they have so many injuries in the secondary, even without Emeka Ibuka, even without, Chris Godwin. The Bucs will be totally fine throwing the football against a decimated Detroit that has to totally change the way they want to play because they can't play man-to-man, because they can't stop Mike Evans, first of all. And then second of all, they just can't do it with this personnel. So they're going to play a lot more zones, which there's going to be spots for Baker Mayfield to hit big plays, just as he did against a beat-up Seattle secondary not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, where he was nearly perfect. DJ Reader also did not practice, one of the defensive tackles of the Lions. Alim McNeil might be back, which is a big deal, but he won't be at 100%. So look out for those injuries, because the Bucs might actually be the healthier team defensively now. Their front seven is fully intact outside of Kalijah Cansey, who's been out for the season for a while. But Vita Vea can bully this interior offensive line that I still think is having issues. We saw Chris Jones do the same last week. And the secondary for the Bucs should be a lot healthier. Jamel Dean's playing like the best football I've ever seen him play. Antoine Winfield is fully healthy. Their safety position is fully healthy. And now they might be getting back McCollum, who's a really good corner. Morrison, the rookie, who's looked really good. Parrish can then slide back into the nickel spot where he's been very, very good. So I feel like this Bucs secondary is going to be a lot healthier for this game, which allows them to match up with Amon-Ra, which allows them to match up with Jameson Williams. This is going to be one of the best cornerback groups that the Lions have faced, if not the best cornerback group that they have faced all year, in my opinion. Like, this cornerback group, when they're healthy, is very good. And I don't think people have caught on to that yet, but they've not been healthy in a few games, including last week. But yeah, the Bucs are just like typically a tough matchup for Detroit. Like, they beat them last season, I think, 20-16. They hung in there in a playoff game where a lot of people thought the Lions would smoke them. The game was 31-23. The Lions were able to win in 2023, the year the Lions went to the NFC Championship. And this Bucs pass rush is a lot better than last year. Like, Yaya Diaby, Hassan Reddick can put some pressure on Detroit and Jared Goff. You know that Todd Bowles, it loves to blitz and loves to stay creative with his blitzing schemes. And Jared Goff at times has issues getting heated right up the middle. And that's where Todd Bowles likes to send his linebackers, right into the face of Jared Goff. So whether it be a tip pass on a big third down, a big sack that Jared Goff doesn't see coming, him throwing the ball into a zone that, he doesn't see there. Like, Mac Jones did the same thing. Mac Jones, processing speed, trying to get the ball out. Jared Goff, processor, trying to get the ball out. They're not athletic. So Bowles is going to put pressure on Goff to be perfect with every single one of his decisions. And for the large part, he probably will be. But there will be a few plays in this game where the Lions just aren't calculating what Todd Bowles is bringing. And I do feel this secondary can match up. And I do feel Baker can still move the ball down the field with a solid run game, with enough weaponry, especially if Mike Evans plays. And I feel like the Lions are really beat up on defense. So I think the Bucs can win this game. I'd probably lean towards Detroit winning. It's a bigger spot for them. They're back at home. They kind of need to bounce back after that Chiefs game. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs won. And you're getting 5.5 points. If this game comes down to a field goal, you're covering. If this game comes down to like a 28-24 type game, you're covering this game, a 4-point spread. So at 5.5, I love the Bucs here. I think that they're a really good team. They're number one in people's power rankings for a reason. And I don't know why people are acting like they're so injured when it does feel like they're going to get a lot more guys back than they actually had last week against the 49ers. So give me Tampa Bay. All right. And the final bet is going to be like a bonus bet, but I don't mind the Cleveland Browns minus 2.5 at home. First of all, I like betting Cleveland at home, and I like fading Miami in ugly weather because Miami is a warm weather team that is soft, and they're charming soft. They're the softest team in football. Tua can barely throw the ball outdoors, and this is going to be an ugly game, right? It's expected 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts with a 94% chance of rain in this game. So basically what that comes down to is, quick, short, decisive passes, but also the run game. And Cleveland is just going to be much more suited to play this style of game. First of all, they're at home with their dog pound. They're in the grass outdoors that slows Miami's speed down and makes this game more about size and power and toughness. And Cleveland is clearly the tougher team. And when you look at Cleveland, they can run the ball. And Miami, can run the ball, but Miami can't stop the run either, right? Miami's run defense, 30th in EPA allowed, 22nd, I believe, in success rate. And then Cleveland's run defense, first in PFF grade, second in EPA, third in success rate. They're top 3 across the board in run defense. They also have the way better pass rush without having to blitz. Dylan Gabriel's actually been decent against the blitz, both in college and the pros. So his ability, he also has the stronger arm than Tua. I don't know, he's not a downfield passer, but in that short intermediate area, Gabriel can rip the ball through rain. I really do believe that after scouting him as much as I did. So, and then you also look at where Cleveland likes to throw the ball. They're going to want to throw the ball in the middle of the field. They're going to want to throw the ball. And I think Jerry Jeudy can ISO and beat any of these Miami guys if Miami wants to blitz to get pressure against Dylan Gabriel. And I do believe that Fannin and/or Njoku can make plays in the middle of the field, make plays in the screen game. Stefanski and the Browns have a pretty expansive screen game. So I think they'll do enough there in terms of that run game, control the clock, and then I think Cleveland's defense will win them this game by pressuring Tua. Tua's ball handling skills are a concern in the rain. And then also the nature of Miami right now. There's implosion going on. People don't want to play. And when people don't want to play, they don't have the hunger, they don't have the heart, and they're playing in a rainy game, a bad weather game, on the road, they're not going to want to be there. This is just common sense. This is just human condition. Miami is giving up. They're giving up. Cleveland is not. Cleveland's still fighting. Cleveland probably believes they can win this game. Dylan Gabriel wants to get his first win. Tua's throwing people under the bus meanwhile. It's just an ugly situation. So I think the football and the weather combined and the spot at home for Cleveland all combines for them to win this matchup. I think they win. I think they cover minus 2.5. There are your best bets for week number 7, guys, versus the spread. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to check out my best bets for my totals, my over-under picks for week 7. Don't forget to check out all the other content here on Money Mitch. And in the link in the description and the pinned comment below, you can get my Patreon, which is $5 a month for all of my bets every single month, only $5. And you could just support me if you like. You don't have to bet my plays. You don't even have to look at them, but you can also just support me if you like me as a creator. $5 a month, link in the description. Thank you guys for watching. It's Mitch, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace and good luck.